So what I did this week is I opened a 17,000 square foot building. I hosted a ribbon cutting for over 200 people, and I launched 30 food businesses. And what I would tell you is if you want to live your dream, don't sleep. So what I want to talk about today is a new word called food economy. And it was such a great word. When I first thought of it, I said, this is the perfect word for what is this new potential for driving economic development, not only in Rhode Island, but I think all over the world as we're rediscovering really the basis of all economic development in humankind, which is food. So I want to talk about the food economy and how it relates to this project and how it relates to Rhode Island. So yes, we did have our grand opening today. That's our building. It looked better than that when we opened it today. But this is a 100-year-old school. It was a shuttered elementary school in Warren, Rhode Island, and it's now the state's first full-service nonprofit food business incubator. It's a $3.2 million project, and it's funded almost entirely with the USDA. I wish I could say it was a grant, but it's a loan from the USDA. It's a great loan. It's a 40-year, 3.5% loan, so I could actually be a bank with that kind of a loan. But what's wonderful is that we were repurposing an elementary school that had been sitting for a long time vacant on Main Street in Warren. At the, as it turns out, in 2009, I was the only person who responded to the RFP for this building. Nobody else had any interest in this building. I was the only one. And at one point when I went to the Warren Town Council and I told them this idea to create a food business incubator, the president of the town council said, well, I guess it's better than nothing. So that was a low bar to overcome. Anyway, so what are we doing there? We are creating this affordable access for food entrepreneurs, farmers, fisher women, because all the fisher people there are women, actually. And we're helping them to jumpstart and grow small food ventures, incubate them to scale, and then help them to develop an exit strategy. And along the way, these businesses, just like all of you who have a common interest, that this common denominator factor creates a peer collaborative where people from the community can learn from each other and even have sort of new food creations. So like the Reese's peanut butter cup, your chocolates and my peanut butter, and we've already had that happen. Some of you may be too young to even remember that commercial, but maybe not. So you were already seeing the what we call the Incubees collaborate with one another on new food products. So here's the vision. This is a $6 million vision. I found out when I only had $3 million, but we were going to put a green roof on the building. That would have been about $500,000. So we ended up saying, why don't we put it on the ground? So we did that, and that was a lot less money. And so what we're trying to do here is really create this center of gravity for food, this integrated space where people are making food, where people are able to access food, where people are able to teach about food. This space back here is the schoolyard. It's the old schoolyard, and we're turning it into an edible schoolyard. So a lot of it's unpaved, and we're going to be putting edible plantings there. Again, it's cheaper than putting them on the roof. But let me tell you a little bit about some of the programming that's inside of the building. You get the idea that we're doing four things here. We're creating jobs, community, infrastructure, and education. And And how are we doing that? So we have this space that's dedicated to really the food value chain. So on the upper floor of the school, we've turned that into 3 commercial kitchens, which, by the way, passed with flying colors through the health department inspection. This thing was a beast. If you can imagine 6,000 square feet of commercial kitchens that they'd never seen before, and all of you in the food business know how hard it is to, have anything pass health department inspection. So I was really proud of that. So the upper floor of these 3 commercial kitchens, one's really a small-scale food processing kitchen. Another one is a gluten-free kitchen, is positive airflow, gluten-free, flour-free kitchen, and another one is an artisanal baking kitchen. And so the top floor is all about food production. And then the public floor, the main floor, is really still a school. We left all the schoolrooms intact. The classrooms are intact. One of them is a large event space, a 1,600 square foot event space, which I could tell you doesn't quite fit 230 people, which I found out this morning, but it fits a lot of people. And we also have a demonstration kitchen and classroom, including ultimately a studio, so that we can actually broadcast from Hope and Main. So if you want to do cooking lessons, nutrition, teach about nutrition, or do other types of demonstrations, you would be able to do that there. And what we're really trying to do is change people's relationship to food. So it's not just a food business incubator like maybe some of you have seen in other parts of the country, where they're in an industrial park, which is a very cheap space, and you could do this a lot more cheaply than we did it. But it's also not connected to the community. We want it to be community-facing because we wanted to really tell the story about local food. So it's sort of recapturing a place where, again, we used to be as an economy. So first you need to establish infrastructure, and I like to say that there's a farm-to-table fallacy, that there's always a middle person who's adding value. Nothing goes from land to mouth. I mean, there's always somebody who's either processing, packaging, transporting, storing, and that's economic development, and that's what I want people to understand. In Rhode Island, we only consume 1% of what we catch and grow, and that's because we don't have a lot of infrastructure here for adding value to our products. So, when I have a farmer who's growing the cucumbers, and then my pockets are still full of samples, and I have Ziggy Goldfarb is launching Fox Point pickling out of Hope and Main, right? So he is going to make the pickles, and then I have Simone's restaurant. If you haven't been there, it's wonderful in Warren, and he sells the pickles in his restaurant. Well, that's $1 that changes hands 3 times in Rhode Island instead of just growing the cucumbers and shipping them out. You might as well just be a mineral-rich country, but you sell all the minerals for nothing, and someone else adds value, and they make all the money. That's Rhode Island. That's Rhode Island now, and we're trying to change that. So these are the commercial kitchens. This is sort of like Where's Waldo, so I won't go into it too much. This is the big processing kitchen here. This is the artisanal baking kitchen, and this one is the gluten-free kitchen. And by the way, we have a walk-in cooler that's the size of Central Falls. This is like 1 square mile right there. It's unbelievable. It's very big. So here we are, local food jobs. A local food job by definition can't be exported. We have a jobs model that predicts we're going to create 99 direct jobs and 236 direct and indirect jobs, because food is manufacturing, and manufacturing has a multiplier effect. When you create 1 manufacturing job, it creates 2.1 indirect jobs, right? So that is a wonderful piece of news for Rhode Island. And Rhode Island, for some of you who live here, know that it's always searching for the magic bullet, the $100 million business. We're going to be the next biotech or high tech or video games, or we're going to be the next Hollywood. But being the next food state actually has a whole different effect, because it launches lots and lots of small businesses with great jobs. And also delivering education. So it's our good fortune that the omnivore's dilemma is our good fortune, because humans are really the only species that have to think about what we eat. So education is important to humans about what they eat. Everything else seems to know what it's supposed to be eating. And so education is at the heart of what we do. As I said, we have this demonstration kitchen and classroom to educate the community. We have incubation programs to educate food entrepreneurs. And then we will also have a town market, which I'm calling Meet Your Maker Market. And it's a place where you can meet the people who make your food. And that changes your relationship to food, because I don't really believe in food labeling, and I don't think that food labeling does much of anything to educate consumers. I don't care how much you put on a label. It's very much of an interactive experience. So I'm actually going to skip the Meet Your Maker, even though I think it's such a cool idea, except to say that we're very much inviting people into what we're doing. So here's the room where we were this morning, this big event space. Here's the demonstration kitchen, and here's other meeting spaces. And the other thing I love about food is that it does build community. Eating is one thing that you can't do online. You actually have to go and physically go somewhere and eat. So here we were. This was 2 years ago. We actually had to go through a public referendum to buy a public building. And on a Monday night, we needed 125 people to show up to vote to allow us to buy this building. And I was really worried. Warren's a town of 10,000 people. I said, where's 125 registered voters going to come from at 7 o'clock on a Monday night so that we can buy this building? 400 people came on a Monday night for this vote. It was unbelievable, and I want everyone here to understand that is the power of food politics. People showed up for this vote. This is such a complicated idea. I mean, I needed an 80-story building for my elevator speech, but 400 people showed up to vote for this. Here's some of the food entrepreneurs. Coconut Butters, Backyard Food Company with tomato jam, Matt's Magic Brownies. The magic is the love of there. I'll be right there when that happens. So I want to thank everybody here. There's lots of people here I see who have supported Hope in Maine for a while. I didn't think it was going to happen. We started this project 5 years ago. It was almost going to be called Hope and Maybe, but it's done, and I want to thank everyone here for your attention. And I know I'm between you and food, and you're between me and a nap, so I thank you very much.